Let's see what's going on now. Get started. Select stream. This.
I see it scheduled now.
Okay. Okay.
And then on your end, it'll look like you're watching a YouTube video, but it's just your stream.
Okay, I think we're good.
Is it live?
Yeah, I think it is. I see the red circle.
Okay, let's
Looks
see.
good.
Okay, sweet. Yeah, I'm seeing it on my end.
All right, let's make sure. Let me see. Let me check it on my phone too, just to make sure. Okay, yeah, I think we're live.
Let's go.
How we doing, everyone?
Welcome, welcome.
Where do you see? I see the chat thing. Let me see here. Can you guys? And also, am I sharing my screen? Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, I see the tier list.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Just making sure.
What's good, Texan? How's the
Texan.
audio? Texan 135.
Yeah, we gotta make sure this audio is good.
It's all good.
All right, let's send that to the Discord. That's a fire thumbnail you got.
Yeah, dude, I worked on that pretty hard. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, that's good.
I usually like to throw in some SpongeBob here and there just because, like, I'm 26 years old, and I'll tell you guys right now, I still watch SpongeBob every single night, like, straight up. So
that's valid.
So I still try to throw in SpongeBob here and there. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
SpongeBob's
Yeah,
electric.
I can see the chat popping up now. Okay, cool. All right, and Texan said that the audio is good, so
Appreciate that, Kahlo. How's everybody doing tonight?
we can let some more people roll in here since we just went live, and then we'll get into the tier list.
Jump into it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Give it a few more minutes.
There's a lot of decisions to make this decade.
There is, man. Your 20s is the decade for making decisions, important decisions too.
I only got about 1 month-ish left, a little over 1 month left in my 20s.
Dang. So you're really gonna know which ones are the good decisions and which ones aren't.
Yeah. So I basically know everything. Like, just nobody debates me on these topics. I have the elder's privilege.
Hey, yes, this will be
Elder
uploaded
Scrolls.
after the fact. I'm gonna try to post this hopefully on Friday if I can get this out. So if anyone does miss the stream or has to dip out early, this will be posted as an actual video.
And also, we'll be taking tier list suggestions throughout the video. So if you have anything you want us to add, let us know, and we'll debate it in the public square.
In the town hall.
Yeah. And
Building
then
a data center.
If people get angry, then we're just going to execute JP and we'll call it a day.
That's perfect.
Yeah, that sounds like a good decision.
Yeah, our first decision will be building a data center in a small town.
Yeah. Goon mode activated. That's wild.
Nice. That's awesome.
I don't know if that's a compliment or if I should feel uncomfortable, but all right. That's funny. Zach, what up, bro?
Something tells me that was JP. This is JP's Discord.
Yeah, my Discord
JP's Discord's rolling in.
What up?
Yeah.
Yeah. Zach always comments that on my videos.
You got a fun Discord.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
What's up, Zeb? What's up, Shane?
Welcome, welcome.
All right, well, we've been going for about 4.5 minutes now, so if you guys want to get started, we can get started. Obviously, if more people roll in, get their opinions on stuff. Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me.
Let's do it.
All right, so first things first, I will say this. Most of the people who watch my channel, if anyone here is a slow stack viewer, you guys know how tier list works. Pretty much everyone should know how a tier list works, but I love doing tier lists because I think it's just an easy way to cover a bunch of topics in a short amount of time and have some pretty good discussions. So Obviously, we're going to be talking about it, but if anyone in the chat has things to say about the topic, we're going over, definitely let us know. But we'll go ahead and we'll kick it off here. And the first thing up on the tier list for a decision in your 20s is working a 9 to 5 or working for yourself. How big of a decision is it for you? And I will let WhyLearn take this one because I feel like he's probably the poster child of this one.
I'm the guy who's just made a bunch of mistakes here. Let's go. Yeah, so started early 20s in jobs and then eventually transitioned late 20s working for myself. I would have to say it's a major life decision because it's going to decide a lot of things. It's going to decide the foundation of your career, your finances, your skills, who you meet. It's a big deal, and there's pros and cons with each path. But whichever one you choose is going to be very significant for your life. Some people can make it work, right? You can be an entrepreneur right away. I was not that person, so it just kind of depends on who you are. But yeah, I'd say it's very important, and I'd almost recommend going the normal job route first because it's the easiest way to make money quickly. And then if you want, you could do entrepreneurship. If you don't want it, then you just continue in a job and should be good there. I don't know. What do you fellas think?
I agree with that. I think major life decision's pretty spot on because it's definitely not a mid decision, but you can have success with both the 9 to 5 and starting your own business. So yeah, no, I agree. I wouldn't say it's like life altering, but obviously like, if you're really successful in the 9 to 5 or starting your own thing, then yeah, I agree with that though. It's pretty spot on.
Yeah, I'm going to agree too. Kind of JP, like you said, I don't think it's like life altering. But I mean, it's a major decision because like someone like me, I work a 9 to 5. That's where all my stability comes from. And if one day I was like, you know what, I want to work for myself now. Yeah, that would affect a lot of different aspects of my life where I find a lot of stability. So yeah, I mean, that's definitely a major life decision. It could be life altering in some aspects. For some people, it could also be lower on the tier list, which is mostly how these tier lists go, but definitely major life decision for sure for working a 9 to 5 or working for yourself. So let's go ahead. Let's get into the next one here. Building an online presence. I got JP's logo here. I got WhyLearn's logo here because these guys have blown up a lot. So building an online presence. How big of a decision do you guys think this is?
JP, you want to take this one first?
Yeah, that's tough. I would say I want to lean on major life decision, but compared to the other categories we have here, I actually would not. I would say it's probably like it's somewhere between a mid decision and a major life decision because obviously like if you have success building an online presence, like it can be definitely life altering. It can definitely be a major life decision. But compared to some of the others, like who you marry, having kids, your health and stuff like that, I don't know if it's as big as that. I would put it in, I guess, mid decision. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I have a similar line of thinking. I think it can really help if you do it right, but I don't think you need it to be successful. Like it's almost a side quest that could turn into your main quest. Like it's something that can really help you if you do it and you do it well. Like at least, in my case, YouTube and building an online presence has helped me a lot, but at the same time, like, I was fine without it, right? I was like making decent money at my job and like still living a very good life. I'd almost put it in side quest just because I think compared to the other things, like you said, it's way, you can have a good life without it, is what I'm saying.
Yeah,
side quest is good.
Yeah, I'm seeing people put it in side quest. I think I'm gonna agree with that too because like when you first start, it literally is a side quest because like you don't know how it's gonna go. And you could start trying to build an online presence and just get no traction out of it. And yeah, I think someone in the chat said that it's like a side quest and then it turns into a major life decision if it gets to that point. And I agree with that. I think at first, for sure, it's definitely side quest level. It's not that big of a decision. Because you can realistically start building an online presence like whenever you want. Like you could start tomorrow and just instantly post YouTube videos and try, right? What were you going to say?
Yeah, I was going to say it's like I don't want to understate the importance of it. Like it can really, really help you if you do it well. Like it can just make you connect with so many people and open so many doors. But yeah, it's pretty much going to be a side quest when you start it out.
Yeah. All right, I like that. I like where that fell. So next one is a huge decision that a lot of people face in their 20s, especially when they start getting a little bit of money, and that's buying a car. And I'm actually gonna say this is buying a. I would say let's put this at like buying a new car, because buying a car is like a big, broad, you know, gray area. It
Can
could
go a
be
lot
like
of
a
directions.
$1,000 beater, or it could be a brand new car. So I think for the decision a lot of people come across in their 20s is buying a new car, I would say.
Okay, I like that. Otherwise, it really does depend. Do you
Yeah.
want to take that one first, Slow Stack?
Yeah, so I've talked about this in a lot of tier lists. Now, once again, we're going to assume this is buying a new car. And typically what we see with a lot of people in their 20s, and I'm like the poster child of this, where you get a job, you start making decent money, you don't have a lot of expenses, so you're like, let me reward myself, let me go buy a new car. And as someone who had multiple cars with over $600 car payments, I would say this is life altering for your finances, because this will actually destroy your finances. I got to the point where I was spending $650 on a car payment every single month, and I was like, I actually can't afford anything else at this point. So buying a new car specifically in your 20s, I'd say is a life altering decision, but I'd like to hear what you guys have to say.
So I view it a little differently. Like
Yeah, go for it.
obviously spending $500-600 a month on something's awful, but like if especially given the alternatives. But if that's the worst case scenario of it, where I'm thinking of like worst case scenario of your health being bad is just much worse than spending $600 a month. Like it can be a tough hole to get out of, but I think the downside of it's capped. It's just like the opportunity cost of where that money goes. So if I were making this list, I'd put it in mid, just because of like the worst case scenario of it isn't as bad as some of the other things. But be curious what JP thinks. He can be the tiebreaker.
Yeah, JP, be the
Yeah,
tiebreaker.
I would. Yeah, I would also put it around mid. I think. Yeah, I agree with that, because I definitely see the life altering. Because like I would say having especially a big car payment, that's like probably the number one wealth killer for most people. Like especially if you're just like working a normal job and stuff, having an extra $500 to $700 you're losing every month to a car just eats away at like just your take home pay. So I would definitely say, yeah, probably right around mid decision. I agree with that, but I can definitely see how it's life altering, especially if you're somebody who's not making a lot of money and you're putting most of your take home pay into a car. Like anybody who watches Caleb Hammer has probably seen that. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, definitely. That might be, my PTSD speaking when I say life altering, right? Because I've lived through it, and I'm like, man, that was terrible. But yeah, I also put myself in a really bad position. So with the tiebreaker, we'll go mid decision on buying a car. I think I like where that falls too.
It does affect a lot of people too, though. So
It
it's like
does.
the scale of that issue is huge. Where
It
it's like,
does.
I think the average car payment, at least in America, is like $500-600 a month, which is a lot.
Yeah.
That's very high.
Yeah, this is kind of the nuance with tier lists, right? There's so many different ways you could look at it. So next one, I'll take the lead on this one too, is career and industry. So I think I'm also gonna say I think this one's life altering, because with your career, and obviously what industry you go into, like let's be honest, the majority of us are gonna work 9 to 5s the rest of our lives. That's just how it goes. Not everyone's gonna be able to work for themselves or make a YouTube channel and live off of it, right? So when you're spending the majority of your life working 40 hours a week, you want to make sure that the career and industry that you have is enjoyable. And if it's not, we've seen what that leads people to, just unenjoyment to the max extent. So for me, like, for example, like with my 9 to 5 that I work right now, I love the career I'm in. I love the industry I work for. I work in the automotive industry, and I like cars a lot, as I mentioned prior. So like, I actually like my 9 to 5, which is awesome because it provides me a lot of stability, and I don't hate waking up every single day for work. And if I didn't like my 9 to 5, I would definitely be trying to do everything I could to get out of it. So I think this could be in the life altering category for sure.
I think I'm going to agree with that one because
Yeah.
anything you spend 8 hours per day of your life doing, like if you get that wrong, you're just going to hate everything. Like, if you can at least get it to a situation where your career and your industry, it's manageable, or like you have some enjoyment for it, that's going to be ideal. But yeah, it's going to affect everything in your life, whether it's going to affect how much money you make, it's going to affect what type of people you're interacting with. So I would have to agree. That's a life altering one. You better get it right. And if you don't, you can always change it.
Yeah.
Just
yeah,
better
that's
to get it
true.
right the first time.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. Kind of like what you were saying, like you're spending that much time every single day and week at your job, like especially if you have like a bad work environment or a bad manager, like that shit can really take a toll like on your mental health. So I would definitely say it's life altering.
Yeah, that's true too. Like your manager plays such a massive role in
Oh
how
yeah.
much you actually like your job. Like if you have a bad
Yeah.
manager, but the best job in the world, it is no longer the best job in the world. Like your manager will ruin
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Did either
No,
of
I
you
completely.
have a bad job or a bad boss in your careers?
I had a horrible one a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I had this guy a couple years ago. I was working in healthcare, like on the finance side, where we would like kind of like consult doctors and like different hospitals and like how to improve their finances. And
Mhm.
my boss was the worst guy ever. Like he wasn't even a mean person. He was just obsessed with work. Like he could not
Mhm.
turn work off, and he expected everyone else to have that same mindset. And a good example of this is I'll never forget this. He had a child born on a Friday, and he was just at work on Monday. Like he didn't even have to be. He could have taken paternity leave, and he didn't. And I remember thinking, "Fuck this guy. I will never be like this guy."
Yeah, I don't think I've
That's
ever
nuts.
had like really bad managers. So like as I mentioned, like for the most part, I've worked in the automotive industry and even on the corporate side, like the automotive industry is filled with like a lot of bros on the corporate side. But I have had pretty toxic like work environments that don't involve my manager. And that's just no fun too. Like when people are just like
Yeah.
gossiping all the time and talking shit, it's just like this is not a fun place to be in when you're stuck there like in the office.
Yeah.
It's just like work is already not fun for a lot of people, so when you add like a toxic environment on top of it, it's just like it's just the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
um
Yeah,
so
that'll
yeah,
make
so this is
everything
going
worse.
in life altering.
Yeah.
What about you, learn when you were working a 9 to 5, how are your managers?
I got pretty lucky. Like I always had a great relationship with my managers. They were very reasonable people, like very, very chill, didn't like have crazy expectations. Like that some of them were tougher than others, but even the worst one that comes to mind was not bad at all. So I think I got very lucky there. That's
Yeah,
one
That's
big
awesome.
landmine of having a job is if your boss sucks, then yeah, your life can be just
Your life
miserable, even
sucks.
if it's a good situation.
yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. All right, well, going into the next one here, college and education. We'll let JP take this one.
I would say, ooh, this is good. Ooh, this is tough, especially in 2026. I definitely think obviously like getting your education is important, but I genuinely think nowadays it's getting less and less important. I really feel that way. If you're going into something like engineering or law, or you want to be a doctor, or like I mean even corporate finance, like you want to have your degree, but there's a lot of jobs out there where you can do really well. There's a lot of blue collar and trades jobs where people are making a ton of money and they're not, going to college. I would put it at I would actually put it at major life decision also because like if you go into a lot of debt for college, that can really affect especially your 20s, like the back half of your 20s. So I'd put it at major life decision, but I don't think you need college to be successful. And I think it gets less and less relevant each year, especially with the cost of it just going up.
Yeah, I see it very similarly. Major life decision for me too, just because the damage you can do if you pick a bad major, or if it's like insanely expensive. Like some people I know spend like 200 grand to go to like a private school. So there's definitely alternatives that are still good, like trade schools, or I went to an in-state public school, so my tuition was not bad at all. Uh, and it's important to make sure it's a good ROI degree. Make sure you pick something where you're making money on the other side of it. And as JP said, with AI, it's all changing very fast. So the value prop for college, I feel like, is changing every week at this point.
Yeah, I think it's a major life decision too because like when you're deciding if you should go to college, you're pretty much setting yourself up, at least how I did, where it's like you want to know a lot rides on that decision, whether you're going to want to go work in a corporate environment, whether you're going to do blue collar, some type of trade work. Any type of college and education is very, very important. Now, I will say, like, I definitely think too, you also still can get your degree for pretty affordable. I don't know if you guys agree, but like I think I think there's a big negative connotation with college because people think of college and they think about all this massive debt. But like I got my computer science degree for $7,000 at a really small local college. And I think if people go that route, they could also have more financial success with this decision instead of like burdening themselves with all of this debt for a degree that like might not even pay off. So I think overall, like it's a really big life decision.
Yeah. And there's like a lot of, like, at least for me, a growth as a person. I went through, I think someone mentioned that in chat, whereas, I met so many people. I learned a lot about myself and how I act in a variety of situations. And there's a good education aspect of it that's not necessarily in the classroom. And also, like, if you're looking to get a job too, recruiters do, like, they usually pick people from a lot of different universities. So it's a good way to get your foot in the door. Because honestly, if you go right into entrepreneurship, you might have problems because you're not going to be very skilled, most likely. You don't have a huge network of people. Now, some people might, but I think for most people, that's just not the case. So, in my opinion, university is a good springboard to a career, still, even though it's changing a lot.
So, both of you guys have your degree? Or like a degree?
I do, yeah. Just a
Have
bachelor's.
you ever had a recruiter or like place ask you where you went to college when you were in the interview process?
I have not actually.
I haven't either. I'm just curious.
I think they, at least from what I remember, and it's been like, I don't know, 4 years, they cared that you went to college, that you had a degree, but they didn't ask much about it. They never asked my GPA. They never asked, even where. They might have asked where, but I honestly can't remember. But
Yeah.
it seems like it was just a checkbox, like, oh, did you go to college? And yes. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I'm seeing in the chat, Thunderstruck just said apply for scholarships. That's also slept on too. Some people get crazy
Yeah.
scholarships. And like, I remember I actually took it wasn't like a course, but it was like a training in high school. And they talked about like all the different scholarships. And there was one where it's like, if you live on a farm, you can get a scholarship.
Yeah.
Like they have crazy, crazy scholarships for people.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options. I remember like Alabama, University of Alabama said like if you get above a 32 on the ACT, you'd get like a ton of tuition discount, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Like, so schools offer stuff like that. Like you don't have to pay 50 grand a year to go to university.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I've seen a scholarship before where it was like if you were left-handed, you could get like the weirdest scholarships where like they're
Wow.
just picking out random crap.
Yeah, for real. It's crazy
Okay,
what they give out scholarships for.
So,
All right, next one. Handling work-life balance for one of the biggest decisions in your 20s. How do you guys feel about that?
That's an interesting one. That one's like, it's a wide range of outcomes here. Because on one hand, if you're like all work and not much of a life, I feel like either A, you're just super passionate about what you're doing, or B, you're just gonna not be happy because maybe you're just in it for the money. Uh, Honestly, I'm gonna put this in a major life decision, how you handle this, because you need to water, both sides of your life. You gotta have a life, you gotta have work, and you gotta have your life. Like, at least for me, like most of my happiness, like obviously work is a big part of it, but it's also like the people in your life, like the adventures you go on that have nothing to do with work, your relationships with people, your wife, future kids. I'm hoping in the future and stuff like that. So I think it's a thing you really have to get right. Yeah, I would say major life decision.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, especially because once you get into your later 20s, if you're like all work all the time, I think there's like a social cost to it. Like,
Yeah.
especially like when people are looking to like date and settle down, they don't want to be with the guy that's home, 2 hours a day and then is just on his phone working, especially if like somebody wants to have a family. So,
Mm.
yeah, I agree. You have to kind of water both sides of it, especially because just later on, you don't want to have that social cost where like no one's interested in you because you're just all work all the time.
Yeah, so I agree with both of you guys. I think there is a trade-off. I think the younger you are, the less work-life balance you can have. Like when I was in my late teens and very early 20s, I was working like 55 hours a week. But like it was cool, right? Like I was making good money. I was doing school online, so like it worked out for me. But I'll give you guys a quick story of why recently I've decided like I prefer having like an actual life outside of work is because I've always been like a little bit of a workaholic. And before I was ever at a corporate level, I worked at a mechanic shop. And I've told this story before, but my manager made really good money. Like he would show me his W-2 and it was like 250,000 a year as a manager at a mechanic shop, right? So a lot of people are like, if you're a young, person in your 20s, I'm looking at that like, wow, I could do that one day, right? But the caveat was the hours you put in. And I remember we had a conversation one time and he was telling me how like he only sees his wife and kids on Sundays. Friday through Saturday he's working and he's working around 65 hours a week, right? And
Jeez.
we had that conversation and then a little after that conversation, we had another conversation. Like I would just talk to him randomly. And I was considering going down the path of like trying to become a manager at this mechanic shop. And he told me, I was like, hey, what do you regret about doing this? And he was like, I regret not spending enough time with my kids. And dude, that hit me like a semi truck. And like when he said that, instantly I was like, you know what? I don't care if someone offered me $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. If I can't have a life at the same time, to me, it's not worth it at all, right? Like I would much rather make 80K a year, 90K a year, I mean, even 50K a year and be able to enjoy my family, enjoy my friends. Like at some point, money is not really worth it anymore. And for me, like work-life balance is super important. And I think a lot of people have to prioritize having a life outside of work.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
No, I
all the
completely
things that have
agree.
made me the happiest. Yeah, they've been really not related to work.
Yeah,
So I
exactly.
definitely agree with that take.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think
I
another
think
thing
that's spot on.
I think another thing to add too is if there is a time to just like work like a dog, it's your early 20s to mid 20s.
Yep.
Because there's basically no cost. If you don't have a life, nobody really cares. If you're working, you're building your career, and in that way, maybe you can get lucky to where you're now a super high earner, and then you can focus more on family stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is major life decision for sure.
And I also think too, sorry, one last thing. I was just
Yeah,
gonna
go for
say,
it.
I also think too, when people don't set up like work-life balance in their 20s, it kind of sets a precedent for like it's almost hard to turn it off once they're
Yeah.
in their 30s and 40s. And like I remember seeing something online that said like no 90-year-old that's on their deathbed was ever like, "Oh, I'm so glad I worked those extra 20 hours in the office that one week." But like,
Yeah.
you're definitely grateful for like a memory you might have with your family, whether that's a vacation or just like even watching your kids' first home run or something if they're playing baseball. Like things like that matter way more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Well, that leads us into the next one here, which I'll let WhyLearn take, is having kids.
Oh, that is the logical choice, isn't it?
Yeah.
So having kids, irrelevant. It's not going to change anything.
It's a side quest. That's the biggest side quest there is.
If it's a side quest, you got a problem.
Yeah.
Lucky
this-
week.
No, I'm not, my child's expected early next year, so I don't have full, dad mode experience yet. But I'm gonna go out on a limb and say life altering. From what I hear,
I
through
think
the
I think we
grapevine,
have to put that at life altering. I mean,
yeah,
Yeah.
just off the rip.
almost, yeah, because I mean, I have plenty of kids. Like at late 20s, your friends start having kids usually. So like a couple of my buddies have gone before me, and they're like, yeah, like woke up at 4 a.m. this morning. Like I can't really do anything today, and they're it's very rewarding. It's a great thing from what they say, but the challenge of early parenthood is like it's real. So definitely life altering. It's basically going to change every single thing about your life. Your finances to what you have to do day to day. You're responsible for someone. But what I keep hearing is that it's a beautiful thing. So I'm holding on to that when the baby's crying at 2 a.m. and I have a really busy day the next day.
And they have a blowout that you got to clean up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expert diaper changer right here.
Yeah, I think it has to go in life altering, because like I don't know if you guys watch a lot of sports, but like I keep up with like athletes and stuff, and you'll hear like athletes who are like, I was partying every night and I was doing this and I was doing that and I was making all these bad decisions. And it doesn't even have to be athletes; it can be normal people too, right? And they're like, but the minute I had my kid, like my whole life changed for the better, typically, hopefully, right? Where it's like I was making a bunch of terrible decisions, but the minute, my kid came into the world, my whole life changed. And I think that right there, like it is life altering, financially, mentally, physically, everything. I mean,
it's not about you anymore. And that's a big thing. Like I feel more responsibility just like how I live my life. I'm like, wow, I can't just be a lazy ass all day because, I got mouths to feed.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
JP, I assume you agree.
Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add because you guys kind of
Yeah.
hit that one spot on there. So I agree.
Yep. So next one is taking care of your health in your 20s. What do you guys think about that?
Okay, I might say
would
something. JP, you want to
go
go
ahead.
first?
I was just gonna say I'd probably put this at major life decision, kind of similar to the work-life balance thing we were just talking about, where like it sets a precedent for how the rest of your life's gonna be. I feel like if you can build habits in your 20s that are healthy, like eating healthy, cooking regularly, like working out, moving regularly, if you can set up those habits now in your 20s, then in your 30s and 40s you'll keep that a priority. And I've always heard from people that are older to like try to take care of your health in your 20s because it's harder to start when you're older and your body's aching, you're 45 or something like that. So that's my take on it. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm kind of going back and forth because like if not that I'm endorsing anything, but if there's one decade where you can kind of get away with a lot, it's your 20s. Especially
That's
early
fair.
20s. I wasn't the nicest to my body. Obviously, health is like your pinnacle, super important. I just feel like your 20s are more lenient. Like you can still like I ate like crap. I did a bunch of stupid things and drank early in my 20s, and I'm fine now. Like not that that was a good thing. So I'm kind of hovering between mid and major.
Yeah, I
Like
can
health
see that
overall,
too.
obviously, is just life altering. But I like as it relates to your 20s, it's like if you have bad health, it's life altering. But like if you're just a normal person, I feel like you can just get away with a lot. I don't know. What do you think, Slow Stack?
Yeah, I kind of agree where, once again, this is one of those ones that it could be irrelevant for some people, it could be life altering for other people. I think, like, like, I'll be honest, I still don't eat that good. Like, I eat out a lot. I really want to get in the habit of, like, eating healthy, and for some reason, I just always find excuses to not do it. That might catch up with me when I'm 40, 50, whatever it might be. One thing I do think in your 20s you should get ahead of the curve with is your physical health, where this once again gets a little nuanced, but like, dude, the minute I hit 25, I moan and groan when I get up from the couch now. Like, I mean, like, it's just, it's difficult to operate. I don't know. Like, I feel like my body's deteriorating. So it's like, I'm trying to be as physically active as I can in my 20s, where it's like, I try to go to the gym every day. I try to go for walks if I can. So I think, I understand where it could fall into the mid decision, because you can definitely be pretty lenient in your 20s, but I think overall it just has to be, for me, a major life decision, especially with all the health risks that we've seen like popping up in this generation. I think the earlier you can be cautious of this, the better.
Yeah, I'm fine with major life decision because it's one of those things where if you're healthy, that's great. You're thinking about all these other things. If you're not healthy, that's like your focus number one.
Yeah. So we'll do.
But as you go throughout your 20s, it's like I've noticed like a lot of changes too. Where like if I was 20, I could like get no sleep and go and be like a functioning person in society, and now it's like I feel like I need 8 hours. I get sore super easily, and all that stuff.
Yeah. So we're good with major life decision on this one.
Yep,
Yep.
that works
All
for me.
right. All right, we'll put it there. All right. Next up, this is another open topic one here is how you spend your free time. I'll go first on this one. I think this is a mid decision. And the reason I say that is because, you know, as you can spend your free time, like the way I look at it is like one of two ways. You do stuff that's proactive, or you could do stuff that's kind of like stagnant, or maybe even kind of puts you in a bad position. But assuming that most of us don't do that and we spend our free time, chilling, I'd say that's fine in your 20s, right? Like I spend a lot of my free time playing video games, still. And obviously I make time to like do proactive things, whether it's working on my YouTube channel or whatever it might be. Obviously you don't want to be like spending your free time in like the hustle culture kind of trap where like you're not even really having free time. You're just, really focused on whatever it might be. But at the same time too, you don't want to spend all your free time just doom scrolling, because we see that a lot and people just waste hours of their day doing that. And if you're spending like 3 hours a day doom scrolling, then I mean, that's terrible. So I think overall, just it falls in the middle for me. I don't think it's life altering. I definitely don't think it's irrelevant. So yeah, I'm in the middle.
I definitely agree with that because kind of like what you're just saying, WhyLearn, your 20s can be like pretty forgiving. And like, even when I think to my early 20s, I definitely did not spend my free time very well. Like, I wasn't being productive all the time or anything like that. So I can definitely see how it's like a mid decision. I'd probably put it there too, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of those things like if you do it well, it can work wonders for you. Like I've said in my videos before that like the way you use your free time basically can determine your life path to some extent. So I think it's mid. If you're bad at using your free time, I think everybody in their 20s wastes a ton of time. That's kind of part of being in your 20s. So I would, yeah, I would agree. It's a mid decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm liking that as a mid decision. Next up, and this is a big topic here for the three of us, is investing and saving your money, or just your overall how you treat your financial health and literacy in your 20s. We'll let JP go. That's in his name, is finance. So
Yeah, I would say this is a major life decision with investing and saving, especially in your 20s, because anybody that understands like compound interest, like you don't even have to start out with a lot of money, but the earlier you start, the better. Kind of like some of the other things we were saying, like once you can build the habit of it, I think it can set you up for like great success. Like even like when I've talked to WhyLearn a little bit about like his investments and stuff, like I know especially earlier on you were investing quite a bit like in your early 20s, and like now that's paying you pretty solid dividends, every quarter, every month, whatever that looks like. So I would say that's a major life decision because it can really set you up to be in a good position.
why learn? What's your thoughts?
I like that. I'm in the same boat with that one. I think it's just going to make your life so much easier later. It's going to be. I mean, like, what's the alternative, right? You either spend all your money or leave it in cash with the money printer that's just going crazy right now. So I'd be sure to get some money, put it away because it's going to make your 30s way easier. And it's not that much work to like just invest. Like you open an account, take 5 minutes and transfer some money in, and buy an index fund, and that's it. That's the extent of the work, and it can really change your entire. It changed my financial trajectory because I had a good amount of money to invest, and then the COVID crash happened, and that was like a financially altering event for me where I went from like not having much money to six figures and beyond just because I took advantage of a crash. And we don't know when those chances will come, but as long as you're consistently investing, it really doesn't matter when they come.
Yeah,
Major life decision.
yeah, I like it in major life decision. So one thing I will say, I saw someone in the chat just say, Mr. Myers said, investing can go bad though. So you are right. Investing can go bad in the sense I don't want to say you're investing in the wrong things, but if you don't have the right amount of risk tolerance, I would say it seems like the majority of us, as in, me, WhyLearn, and JP, like we're pretty much pro ETF, long-term investing, safe investments. Not really like stock picking or, you know, crypto or whatever it might be. So like investing can go bad, but if you do what the majority of people would recommend, which is like ETF safe investing, I do think it sets you up on the right path for sure. Like, that's what I've been doing, and it's helped me a lot grow my net worth. Another reason I also don't think it's life altering is because if you miss out on this in your 20s, we've seen plenty of people recover in their 30s and 40s and 50s. Doing it in your 20s definitely helps. But if you're late to the game, like I get a lot of comments all the time where someone's like, "Oh, I'm 32. I just started investing. Am I cooked?" It's like, no, not at all. Like you still got plenty of runway for your money to grow and compound over time. So.
Yeah, you can if you start later, it can still work. You've just made the game like a little bit harder for yourself. Instead of being on recruit in a Call of Duty campaign, you're now on like hardened if you start in your 30s.
Exactly. Yeah, you're on veteran mode.
Yeah, and if you wait till you're like 40, 50, you're on veteran. You have to be investing like 5Gs a month, so good luck.
That's another thing too. So like I know another comment I get sometimes, this is I guess more so like of a negative comment I'll get, is I'm a huge advocate of investing $5 to start with, like $5 a day, $10 a day, even a month, whatever. And people are always like, yeah, but that means nothing with inflation and this. But the whole point around investing a small amount of money is to just build the habit of actually investing money. Because if you don't understand investing when you're making $50K a year, when you make $100K a year, it's going to be a lot harder to actually get into investing, at least in my opinion, because then you have all these habits when you're at a lower income bracket going into a higher income bracket. For a lot of people, does not make investing easier. If anything, it makes it harder because you have lifestyle inflation at that point creeping up on you. You're spending more money probably. So yeah, I think investing and saving is a major life decision.
Yep, no, I agree. And then one final thing I'd say too is like on the saving side of things, even if you can just save a little bit of money, that's going to cover your ass big time, especially when an emergency pops up. That way you don't have to go into debt or anything like that. So on the saving side, it's also just huge too.
Yep. Yeah, I agree.
Gives you options later in life, like
make this bigger.
It's more freedom later.
Yeah. Yep. I just realized I have renting and buying a house on here twice, so we're going to delete this one since the title's not there. All right, so
rookie mistake.
I know. It's like my first time. Next one is level of partying and nightlife. I'm probably a bad one to start with, but I'll go ahead and start with this. So, if you guys watch my channel, if I have any, the majority of Slow Stack viewers in here, you guys would know I am not a partier or a nightlife person. I don't know. It's just never clicked with me. I've never had fun. I've gone to clubs, and I'll be honest, I hated my time there. I don't drink, so going to bars is like a waste of time for me. So for me, I always think this is like kind of an irrelevant decision, but at the same time, for the majority of people in their 20s, I would say this is, I don't know, I almost want to put it life altering. I tend to lean on the far scale with this because I've just seen a lot of people that get so screwed over by being really deep into the party and nightlife thing, and it really ruins their life. But I would like to hear what you guys have to say about it.
Yeah, I'm torn on this one, and I think that's really funny that you say it can either be irrelevant or life altering.
Yeah,
because I'm thinking the exact same thing. Because I in my early 20s, I went to a party school. Like there was a fair amount of beer drinking going on, and like some people it didn't affect them at all, and some people it like clearly was not a good choice for them to do. Like there's life altering things you can do if you're partying in nightlife, because obviously if you're staying awake past midnight, our parents were right, nothing good happens after midnight. That's when like a lot of bad things can happen and there's more danger. Obviously alcohol is bad for your health. If you make bad decisions, you could get a DUI or something and you can go to jail. So those are like life altering things that can happen. Now the thing is it just totally depends who you are. I've seen so many people, even like mid to late 20s, who like they're super successful but they still go out all the time, and maybe they just like it. They like the social life. So I don't know. Maybe we take the average, but honestly,
Yeah.
it's like if for some people it's irrelevant, for some people it's life altering. Some of the biggest partiers I know have
Yeah.
like a ton of money and like way more successful than me, and I don't really party at all anymore. Only if it's like a wedding or some special occasion.
Yep.
Yeah, this
I don't
one's
know.
tough. I would say, I don't know. Honestly, it's tough because kind of like what you said, it just depends on the person. Because like I know people where like they partied a lot, especially in their early 20s in college, and like I didn't really party a ton, but I used to go to like raves and like concerts and festivals. So I guess like in that sense, that's kind of like partying in a certain way. But I still know people that go out every single weekend and they're in their like late 20s and it's like, all right, everyone around you's 22, bro, and you're 20, you're pushing 30. It's time to pack it up. Um,
Yeah.
so I don't know. I would say I don't know. It's tough. I would probably put it at, I guess I'd say maybe major life decision. I also feel like you can tell who's going to be a long-term alcoholic by the people that
Yeah.
party.
Oh yeah,
That's true
It
absolutely.
might
too.
sound judgmental, but it's like, wait, this guy definitely has a problem now because he's still doing it. You can
Yeah,
meet new
this
people. I see that comment, but I don't know. I don't really think it's a networking thing. Some people
no.
think that.
Yeah, I mean the people you meet at a lot of clubs are just either gold diggers or just sweaty people just drinking and I don't know. It's I'm torn on this one. I might just go like side quest for if I had to throw something out there, just because if you don't let it affect you, that you can still have a great life with it. But the later you go in your 20s, I think it's best to just cut it off sooner than later. The
Well,
downsides far outweigh the upsides of it.
yeah. So JP went major, you went side quest. So I think we throw this right in the middle. I think this one's hard because kind of like you said, when you work, on a, especially if anyone here works in like a corporate environment, you would know, like, even I know some directors who are in their 40s and they still party it up, like go out to
Oh yeah.
bars and I mean, they're the most successful people I know if you're, judging success off a 9 to 5, right? But then on the flip side, I've seen people who go partying a little too much. One thing leads to another. You meet a lot of bad influences, and now they're set up on a terrible trajectory, right? So, I think
Yeah.
we go. I think we go mid decision on this one. It's too hard to put in one or the other.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with that. And like corporate in Wisconsin too, I felt like it was a huge part of networking.
Yeah,
Where it's like, oh, the VP and all these people are going to get drinks across the street after work. Is you want to
yeah,
come? It's like, that means I have to drink, and yeah, I
yeah,
don't know. I
yeah.
felt
Well,
pressure too.
I think there's actually a stat that I'm pretty sure Wisconsin drinks the most out of all the states. I
Oh,
swear I've seen
it's not
that
even
before.
close. I didn't. I thought that
Yeah.
was just normal life until probably 24, 25. I was like, wait, this is not. This isn't good.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I like where we put that one. So next
Yeah.
one, I don't know why the text got cut off here, but we got taking risks versus not taking risks or just playing the safe route. What do you guys think about that?
Hmm. This is a tough one.
This one is a tough one. I think,
Thinking,
yeah, I think for this one, just off initial feel, I almost want to put this one as a mid decision too. And the reason
Yeah.
why is because, if you take risks, that can go both ways. If you play the safe route, that could also go both ways. Like for me, the biggest risk I ever took was moving from Florida to Arizona for a job. And by doing that, it led to another opportunity that led me to a 6-figure salary role. So for me,
Yeah.
taking that risk was extremely worth it. And if I played the safe route, I probably would be not in the best, or at least not in the same position I am right now. But on the flip side, there's a lot of people who play it safe their whole life and it just works out for them, right? And like you could even assume like a lot of the things on this list are the safe route, where it's like investing and saving is taking the safe route. Handling work-life balance, maybe taking the safe route. Taking care of your health is the safe route. So it's like I kind of see it as a mid decision. What do you guys think?
I see a comment that I'm really latching onto right now, and it's Mr. Myers saying irrelevant because life is unpredictable. So I'm like, what
Yeah.
is the safe path anymore?
Yeah.
And like you said, sometimes the biggest risks can either backfire in your face. Maybe you take out a bunch of loans to start a business and it backfires and now you screwed your finances, or you become like a deca millionaire because you took all that risk. Like, I think life's so unpredictable that what's the safe path might not even be as safe, and risks might make more and more sense. uh I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna, I'm gonna
the safe path could be risky, right? Like,
yeah,
yeah, I could see
it's
that.
changing a lot. So I think you're gonna encounter obstacles on either of them. So like if you take risks, your life's gonna be probably more exciting, but also more dangerous, like from a financial perspective. And if you play it safe, you might be missing out on like a lot of growth because you're just in a comfortable situation. So I'm gonna put it as irrelevant just because it's there's gonna be pros and cons to either path and challenges to either path.
Yeah, I like irrelevant too, because there's almost risk in taking the safe path in a sense, because you're like
Mhm.
not living up to like your full potential. I'm kind of similar to you, Slow Stack, where like my biggest risk was like moving across the country, and because of that, I got in like a way better job market and like am in a way different position now than had I just stayed in the same area I was in. So yeah, I mean, it's a huge. It really just depends how it pans out, but yeah, I think irrelevance kind of fair too, just because like you said, things are unpredictable.
Yeah, no, I like that actually. I think that's good because I think you could also get into this paralysis where if you're judging every decision off of if it's risky or safe, you're not going to make a decision. So I
Yeah.
think if it just becomes irrelevant for you and you just do kind of what your gut says, it's probably going to work out. I mean, I'm always a believer that life works itself out. That's kind of like one of the philosophies I live by, where it's like, you know, I got to make a decision and tomorrow's a new day, right? I'm going to wake up. So I just got to deal with whatever I get thrown at, right, with this decision. So, yeah, I like it in
Yeah.
the irrelevant category. Um, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one. It reminds me of this speech by Jim Rohn where he's like, everything in life is literally risky. Like
Yeah.
going to work in the morning is risky. Something could happen. He's like, investing is risky, but maybe not investing is even more risky. So it's there's risk everywhere. You really don't know when it's gonna come back to bite you.
Yeah.
This guy said instructions unclear, putting my whole portfolio in Nvidia. I don't know why that makes me laugh. Don't do that.
That's hilarious.
That's funny.
Hey, that's a cool guy move. I respect
Yeah,
it.
that is a cool
Just
guy
a cool
move.
guy. Yeah.
That's see that right there is taking risk, but hey,
Yeah.
go for it. Next one is where you live. So we'll let WhyLearn take this one since he's not even in the United States right now. So I think he's got the best kind of judge on this one.
Okay. I'm gonna assume this is like where you decide to live as
Yeah.
opposed to like purely based off of your location.
Yeah, let's go where
If
you
you're
decide
born
to
in like
live.
yeah, if you're born in the People's Republic of North Korea, there's just not much you can there's not much you can do there.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
where you live, so I think if you asked this question like 20, 30 years ago, it would be like possibly in terms of your career, life altering, like can literally determine everything from your success level to who you're around. I think in the online world, it's gone down a little bit in terms of how important it is, but I still do think it's very important. I'm going to say major life decision from the fact that, the people you meet, like what cities you live in, what you want to do in your life, being around like-minded people is very important. But I know I moved away from America too, so it's like, and I've built a fine life just online, independent of location. So I don't know, maybe I'm talking myself into a mid decision. I think I'll go with mid just because of the opportunities in the online world and the amount of jobs that actually can be done remotely. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I would say I would agree with mid decision. I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of tough because obviously, like wherever you live, like that's going to affect like the people you surround yourself with. Like even when I think back to like high school versus now, I remember being like, yeah, my friends in high school are going to be my friends forever. But like some of us were just friends because we lived near each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and I kind of learned that as I got into my older 20s. Then I have more friends, now where I live. So I would say it's a mid decision, but I do think kind of like what you said, you can be successful online and like there's even like certain industries that you don't even think about, and then you move somewhere else and you're like, oh shit, like people can be very successful doing this thing that I don't even know about. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I
I would
think if you
agree with
live in
that.
a if you live in like a small town or something, like you could have a peaceful life, but the business opportunities are just not going to be much. Whereas like most
Yeah.
people I do business with now, I met when I lived in a city. So
Yeah.
that's it is important still.
Yeah, I agree with you
Yeah.
guys, especially too, like we've seen a big, I guess we've seen a lot of people start looking for like that digital nomad lifestyle where it's not
Mhm.
really like where you live. It's just like if you can produce an online product or service or SaaS or whatever it might be that you can create some type of income off of to cover your rent or whatever, you can realistically probably live anywhere in the world and do that. I think overall, you guys are saying mid decision. I'm going to agree. I think where you live nowadays is, pretty much most states have big cities that you can get a job at. Even small towns, like there's always jobs to have. So I think it's personal preference. I think you don't need to live in America to be successful. So yeah, I'd say mid decision too.
I feel good about that one.
Yeah, I like
Yeah.
that one. All right, next up is who you marry. I'll go first on this one. So I actually just got it. I think so. JP, you got engaged like a couple months ago, right?
Yeah, not too long ago. Yep.
Yeah, and I just got engaged. I got engaged a month ago. So we're pretty fresh.
Congratulations.
Thank you. We're pretty fresh to this topic. I'm gonna say who you marry is life altering. I don't. I think this is pretty self-explanatory, but you know, the person you decide to spend the rest of your life with literally is a part of you. And that person will influence how you make financial decisions, how you make mental decisions, what physical decisions you make. And also, if you plan to have kids, that person's going to raise your child with you. So I
Yeah.
think being in a relationship's a lot of teamwork. And I want an A team, right? Like I want the best people on my team. So I think it's life altering. If you have a partner that is not providing for you in whatever way, shape, or form, and you just don't see it working out, I'm not telling you to make any relationship. I'm not giving you relationship advice, but I just think, it's a very big decision that will alter your life if made incorrectly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
that's spot on.
firmly agree with that one. I've been coming up on a year of being married, and yeah, you got to pick right because you're going to spend a lot of time with them. This is your person that you're eating, multiple meals a day with, the person you're raising kids with, the person you're kind of merging your finances with. So you really got to be on the same page with a lot of things. I think like aligning on your values and your religion and just how you approach money and having kids are like huge. Obviously, it's there could be like some exceptions, but overall, that's what I've seen, and it's if you get it right, it's going to be the best decision ever. If you get it wrong, it's just going to make life a lot more difficult for you. So either way, it's going to be life altering.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. And this is another reason why also I like talking about finances because I don't know if you guys know this. At least the last time I checked my facts is the number one cause of divorce is finances. So like,
Yeah.
I read this thing in like a book. I think it was called like The Slight Edge. And the author was like, if you are choosing the person you plan to spend the rest of your life with, there should be categories that you both align on. And obviously, like everyone's different. So you could find someone where you don't align on these categories. It could be the person for you. But it's like, you guys should align on like financial stuff, religion stuff if you're a religious person, and then it was like I can't remember the other one, but it was saying like if you guys align in those categories, things will go pretty well. Because for example, if you're a saver and the person you're dating is a spender, that could put a lot of stress on your guys' finances. And then when it comes time to maybe buy a house and settle down, that can make that decision way harder if that person's still stuck in a spending mindset and you're stuck in a savings mindset. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think yeah, this is definitely life altering for sure.
Yeah, especially like if you're not on the same page with that stuff, because like it's okay if somebody likes to, if you're super frugal and the person you're with likes to shop a little bit, that's one thing. But if they can't reel it in because you're like trying to save money and they're just spending all the money, then that just puts you in a horrible position. So no, I
Yeah.
agree. It can definitely be huge.
Yep. All right, next one is who you're surrounded by. Who wants to take that one?
I will actually take that one. I kind of have a hot take on this because everybody says that like who you surround yourself with is like huge, and I'm not even talking about like who you marry or who you date, but like I think you can do pretty well in life, and I don't know how to explain this. I guess like I don't think you need to have like 20 friends to like have a happy life. I'm kind of viewing it from a friend angle, I guess. That's kind of the way I view it. If I just have, as Joey Diaz says, this one comedian, as long as I got three bad, mother effers with me, that's all I need. So I think surrounding yourself with good people is really important, but I don't think it's like life altering or like a major life decision because also who you surround yourself with can always change over time, and it will change over time. I'd probably put it honestly in mid, but I think that's kind of a hot take. I think most people would disagree with that.
WhyLearn, what's your
I
thoughts?
think I'm kind of leaning towards major life decision. It's they do have a tremendous impact on what you do in your day to day, like your close friends. Now, I think it's like fine and honestly fun to have friends that are much different from you, like whether they're like way more successful than you or just like not as successful as you. It doesn't matter, right? As long as like they're good people and you enjoy their presence. Uh, it's going to set a lot of things for you because if your friends are all like doing stuff that's maybe counterproductive and you want to be on a different playing field and grind stuff out more, that can drag you down a little bit. But at the same time, I think it's like a headstrong thing. You can still have friends and like tell them no. So maybe I agree with JP. It's a mid decision. It's important, but you can still live your own life.
Yeah, so I do agree with JP in the sense like I don't think you need a massive friend group. Like I would much rather have like 2 to 3 high quality friends than like, a Snapchat streak with like 30 people that I call them my friends, but they're actually not. So I do agree with that. For this one, for me, I think this is life altering just because like people, I feel like especially in your 20s, if you're not very independent or like headstrong, I think a lot of people in their 20s get influenced by the people around them, which like if your influences are like WhyLearn and JP Finance, maybe you're chilling, right? You're investing, you're getting a 6-figure job and you're rich. But if you're, surrounded by, people who are making really poor decisions and you get influenced by that in your 20s, and you think that's like the norm, that could really put you down the wrong path. So I think it's life altering.
It's an interesting
Where should we put it?
angle to put on it. I like that angle a lot. Like I think early in your 20s, you really care about that social validation. So like the circle you fall into when you're like 20 is probably going to influence you a lot more than the people who you meet when you're 29. Because at 29, you're probably you're relatively set in your ways. But early on, especially, people are heavily influenced, and yeah, that's one thing a lot of parents say they fear for their kids. Like they want them to make the right friends because the wrong friends could just drag them into trouble. So
Yeah.
I bump mine up to major.
Okay. JP, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I definitely think major is valid
Okay.
because like my dad always had this saying that like if you want to stay out of trouble, you got to stay away from where trouble is, and I definitely think that applies to obviously who you're spending your time with. So
Yeah.
I can definitely see it from that angle. That's fair.
Yeah, I like that. So let's go major life decision for that one. All right, next up here is buying courses. So this can be, I say we'll call this like financial courses if you guys agree, because I feel like that's what typically people in their 20s kind of get thrown at them the most is like, you start watching, investing content, financial content, and then instantly you'll get people promoting courses or etc. So I'm going to say like financial courses. So what are your guys' thoughts on people buying financial courses?
Yeah, I can take this one first. I'm gonna say it's relatively irrelevant. Like most courses out there, you can find a lot of the information online. Though the difference with courses is like if it's someone you trust, then maybe they synthesize the information well. But even course sellers are very open about fact that like you still can get a lot of that information online. So like I, there's courses I've taken before that have been helpful. There's courses where I was like, yeah, well, that was a complete waste of money. I don't know how much it impacted my success though. I guess going to university is like the ultimate course, but we won't count that. Just normal courses you buy online. So I'll say irrelevant. Like you don't need it to be successful. Just don't drop like a ton of money on a course unless you know it's heavily vetted by someone you really trust.
Yeah, I agree with that. Irrelevance. I mean, if you're buying courses and you're learning stuff, like always learning stuff is great, but I don't think I've ever heard of a course of something where you can't just go buy a book for way cheaper and learn probably the same exact thing, especially like finance wise. So yeah, courses I would definitely put as irrelevant. If you get a life altering course, you let me know because I have yet to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you guys. We'll go irrelevant on this. So I also not a fan of buying courses. Like I would say I'm pretty financially literate and I never paid for a course. Like I learned about investing through YouTube pretty much for free. And I just never really found value in it because, like you guys are saying, you can just get it free anyway. The only time I ever actually bought a course is when I was in college and I was getting my computer science degree. And I decided to buy the Google Data Analytics course through Coursera. And I think it takes like 5 to 6 months to complete, and it's $40 a month. But when you complete it, you get like a certificate and it teaches you other things. In like that case scenario, I actually did think that was worth it because I could put it on my resume. It came from a reputable company. And all in all, I was maybe $160 into it, right? So like I was like, cool, I'll take that, right? It makes me look better as a candidate for jobs. But even then, like I didn't need to do that. So for the majority of people out there, this is definitely irrelevant. Just watch us three and you'll be fine. You'll know what you're doing. So
Yeah.
There's a lot of free content out there.
yeah.
I would just keep in mind too, like, there's people that if you trust them, like, sometimes they could teach you something you don't know. Like, but yeah, you just really don't. You don't need to do it. It's not super relevant.
So
Yeah, but if you guys find a $5,000 penny stock trading course, you let me know. I'm in search for that.
Yeah, some of those are wild.
Staying in school said, does buying a book count as buying a course? What do you guys think
Say
about that?
no.
No, maybe if it's a classroom book that's like designed for a course, maybe.
I'm talking about like a YouTuber, someone promoting a course or something like that.
Yeah, like an online course, I think is kind of what we're referring to. I don't think buying a book counts though.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree. I don't think it's the same as buying a course. Typically, too, because books are a lot cheaper than courses. I know books can actually get pretty expensive, but for the most part, they are cheaper. And I just feel like too, a lot of these guys who sell like your typical like, oh, watch my course and I'll teach you how to be a 10x trader. Like they're all scammers. Like it's been proven that these guys are scammers anyway. So
just making money off the courses, probably.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, next one. This is one that I know JP is a big fan of. Is looks maxing. What do you guys think about?
Him and I were messaging the other day. He was telling me he's on a new bone smashing regimen.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's been logging people, so I'm curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If
How's
you
that?
can
How's your
log, it's
journey?
life-altering.
How's your journey going?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you can mog, it's just life altering. No, but for real, I would say it's irrelevant. I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously you want to be the best version of yourself and, be confident. So trying to look good is a part of that, but you're limited by your genetics sometimes, like there's only so much, you can only decide so many things in life. So I would say irrelevant.
Yeah. WhyLearn, what are your thoughts?
I'll probably go a step up on it and put it in side quest. Like, it depends how we define looks maxing. Like, I think the part of it where like you're like genuinely focused on wearing the right clothes and like having your hair in like an attractive way and at least like basic things to look good. It's important, but it's looks aren't everything. Like I think your personality, especially as a guy, your personality matters a lot, and like what you do and your resources you have matter a lot. Looks is definitely a big important part of it. So if we're talking looks maxing in terms of like trying to look as good as possible for the hand you're dealt. I'll put it in like side quests. Like it's important. It's enough to not be irrelevant in my mind.
Yeah, I'm seeing some people agree with you on the side quest. I lean more with JP, where it's like I think this is irrelevant, but I could see why it would be a side quest. Like, I mean, you want to be presentable, right? You want to take care of your skin and your body. At the same time, looks maxing itself is probably the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. I actually couldn't believe
They take it to the
was,
extreme.
It was real. When I first learned about it. And like what's funny is like I don't have TikTok. Like I'm not on social media. Like the only social media I have is like YouTube. And I have like Snapchat to like talk to my buddies. And when my fiance first like told me about looks maxing, I'm like, have we really gotten this low IQ as a collective group of people that we're smashing our faces with like heavy objects to have like
cavemen.
better like cheekbones or something. I don't know. It's wild to me, but I mean, yeah, I'm seeing some people put it. I say with the chat too. We'll put it in the side quest since that's what people kind of like it at. But yeah, this is. If you're out there and you're doing this, you don't need to do this. Like
they do it. I think he injects himself with steroids. He takes like so many pills that his Johnson doesn't work anymore. And like, you know, if you're if you're in your early 20s and that's the case, there's a problem there.
Yeah. This is tough. This is tough.
Like, you know, practice basic hygiene, right? Like have a good hairstyle, wear clothes that look presentable.
Brush your teeth.
Brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you don't need to take it to the next level.
Yeah. All right. So last one on the list here. We're at 1 hour and 11 minutes. So I think we're doing good on time. But last one here is renting versus buying a house. So I'll go on this first. So this is a decision that I'm starting to think about more. So I currently rent, but I do believe at some point in my life I want to be a homeowner, and not for the fact where it's like, oh, the boomer generation needs everyone to be homeowners. Like, I would just like to own a house one day, right? Like, I just want my own space. Yeah. I want a yard. I want land. Like, I would like to have a place that I could call mine that I own. On the same area, though, like, it is very hard to argue that real estate's like the only good investment. Like, we've seen calculators and people where it's like, if you rent and invest the difference or invest, if you're looking at it from a financial aspect, I would say it's honestly like a mid decision. I think a lot of people in their 20s too, realistically, just can't even afford a house in the current real estate market we're in. So I would say this is like a mid decision for me. I think the older you get, the more people, and like I said, myself, I'm like, you know what? I think I would want a house one day. But I've been totally happy renting and investing my money while I rent. So.
Yeah, I guess I'm in a similar boat. I've been a renter most of my life, and my wife has a condo that we don't live in. We're like fixing it up right now. I think yeah, it's there's times where you can get it really wrong. Like if you overstretch on your house, that's gonna ruin a lot of things for you. But there's some people too where it's like if they're having trouble like getting that cushion to invest, sometimes like getting a mortgage and buying a house, it's like a way to force them to invest in an asset. So, you know, I actually think it's kind of mid. I agree. There's pros and cons of each. I've preferred to rent and invest, but a lot of that's a byproduct of me needing the flexibility. I think when I'm like completely settled in somewhere, I will probably be looking to buy. And a lot of that too is like the same reason Slow Stack mentioned. It's like, you know, maybe it's not the best financial decision compared to investing, but it's like, you know, you own a house, it's something that's yours, you know, you can maintain it. There's something to be said about that too.
Yeah, somebody who I've kind of been on both sides of it. So like I bought my first house a few years ago. Now I actually went back to renting because I actually like it more. And then I just have the house as like a rental. I definitely would say it's a mid decision. Especially because like if you look at like some of the people in like really big cities, like software engineers in the Bay Area, they don't own a house and they're investing a ton of money because they're making a ton. So like I think you can easily become successful without buying a house. I think a lot of people just see like the American dream and owning a home as a part of it, which I think is great. But I think I even saw something recently that said like the average age for a first time home buyer right now is like 40 years old. So like if you're in your 20s, I would not stress the house thing. In fact, I would say it's like almost better to like rent and invest as much as you can, and then go for the house maybe late 20s or like sometime in your 30s if you can. That's just
People
my
are
take on it.
super thirsty to buy a house. I've noticed. I need to buy a house. I need to buy a house. It's like,
Yeah.
dude, chill out. You don't need to buy a house right now. Like, stop it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Especially in
kind of how
this
I was
market.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I was just like that, where I was like, I need to get a house before I'm 25, and I got it when I was 24, and then I'm like, God damn it, this sucks. I was like,
Yeah.
there's so many more expenses that come with this. I'm paying HOA, like, there's way
A
more
lot more
stuff
work.
that comes with, yeah,
Yeah.
that people don't even think about. And kind of going off of what you said, WhyLearn, I actually have a buddy that's like, I'll just say he basically has a gambling problem, and him buying a house was a good decision for him because it's an illiquid asset. So that's definitely true. Like
That's
that's
funny.
spot on.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with you guys on that for sure. And then, like, I was actually just in Boston, Massachusetts for work, and that's like a big tech hub too. Like, I didn't realize how many corporate offices were there. And I was talking to some of the guys I was working with who live out there, and they're like, yeah, we've just never, like, it's funny because, like, when you live in cities like that, like when I was in Florida, I grew up in a smaller town, so like buying a house was normal for people. But like these guys in Boston, they're like, what do you mean buying a house? Like that's just never has never been on their radar. Like when you live in a city like that, you just rent, and people are just happy renting their whole lives, and buying a place really isn't, it's not really ever a decision they make because one, the real estate is ridiculously expensive out there, and for the amount of money you're spending for whatever you're getting, it's probably not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Those
prices
big
are
cities,
out of
it's so
control.
much.
Like, I understand it. Like, you can get, for like $2 million in Boston, you can get like a tiny place, I'm sure. And if you go to like a decent place in Wisconsin, you can get like a pretty nice house for 500,000.
Yep.
So it's
Yeah.
yeah, that's a big factor. But I overall agree with you guys. I think it's home ownership's a little overrated for the right people. It makes sense. Like if you're just planting your feet in one area and you know you're going to be there for like 10, 15 years, it definitely makes sense. But don't rush it, especially in your 20s.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll go mid decision on that. Well, that wraps up the tier list. So I would say, if I'm looking at this tier list here, I think we pretty much nailed this. I don't know what you guys, I don't know what the chat thinks,
Is
but
there
I
anything
think,
that people would change?
Yeah,
in
like-
in the chat, I'm curious.
yeah, I think this is
Or
an
do
A
you
plus
guys
tier
have any
list.
suggestions on things that we
Yeah.
didn't think of? Any
Let's
new
rate some more
categories we can
things.
throw in there? Yeah.
Let's take a few.
Let's see. Yeah, let's see what the chat's cooking up.
Yeah, what are you guys' biggest decisions in your 20s?
There's got to be some fun ones here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any that I can think of off the top of my head. 'Cause
Yeah, me
we
too.
came up with this list. We were grinding.
Trying to think if there's any ones we missed out on. I feel like we covered a big portion of your 20s, right? Like
Yeah.
moving
Someone
out
said
versus
this is
staying
an
with
F tier
parents. That's a good one.
I like that one. Yeah. Starting a business too. We'll go back to that one.
Yeah. I'd say moving out versus staying with your parents. If I had, unfortunately, I don't have any way of like adding more things in here. So we're just going to have to visualize. We know where we're putting it. But I would say moving out versus staying with parents I'd say that's a major life decision. Cause like,
I agree.
I saved a lot of money living with my parents up until the age of 25. Like, I lived with my parents for 25 years and I saved a lot of money. I was able to make really smart decisions by doing that. And I know a lot of people that get really caught up in just like moving out once they turn 18. And then they do that and they're like, oh crap, I forgot like bills exist. So I think that's a major life decision.
Yeah, I'd agree. It can set you up big time. I think like early and mid 20s, it's a good call to make if you want to, get a good a good financial foundation. And then later in your 20s, you should probably start working on that plan to leave.
Yeah.
Because it's a good decision. Then again, like this is kind of one thing I've noticed from like traveling a bunch is America's really like focused on independence and like having your own place. A lot of other countries aren't. You just kind of live with your family and like, like grandma lives with you, right? Like all your brothers and sisters. And there's something really like cool to that. Like obviously I get like kind of annoyed with my family if I lived with them for too long, but it's kind of changed my perspective a little bit. It's like, it keeps more wealth in your family as opposed to distributing it to the companies who own the buildings.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. Like, I even made a video kind of similar to what you just said, WhyLearn, where I was talking about, like, I think early to mid 20s, it's a great move, but like, I actually think there's a huge social cost if you still live with your parents
Oh
and you're
yeah.
like
Mhm.
28, 29, 30, especially if you're single. If you already have, like, if you're already married or if you're already like engaged or dating, that's different. But if you're single and like looking for someone and like, yeah, I still live at home with my parents and you're 30 years old, I'm not judging you, but I think most women would judge you. So I
Mhm.
think that's something that like
Definitely.
people have to consider because it's kind of
Here
like
we
you've had
go.
a lot of time to like move out and save up. So like, why are you still there? I think is what people would probably ask.
Here we go. This is like pro level YouTube thinking on your feet right here. So we got living with parents. We're putting that. We're putting living with parents versus moving out. We're gonna put that in major life decision. Is that what
Oh,
we're doing?
nice.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah, let's put that in major life decision.
Okay, let's do that.
I liked traveling was on there. That was a good one. Maybe we can address that.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, that is a good one.
I can go first. 'Cause I mean, obviously, it's not life altering. It's not. I mean, maybe it can be, but say overall traveling, it's a cool side quest. You can have a great life without traveling, but it can open your mind to just new worlds, experiencing how other people live life, and there's like a lot to learn from just seeing different countries, different cultures. It's been a rewarding experience for me. Uh, Lived in 3 countries, and each one has their pros and cons, and you like learn what America does well and what you don't like about it. But yeah, ultimately, it's not super important to your life. It's just a cool thing to do if you have the opportunity. So I'd put side quest for traveling.
Yeah, side quest is good. That's pretty spot on. I think with
Yeah,
traveling too, kind of like what you said, you can learn a lot about different cultures. And for me, for example, like a couple months ago, I've been to Canada and Mexico before, but like going to Europe and seeing like Italy, I was like, oh, this is totally different. Like it kind of gave me an appreciation for where I currently live in a lot of ways. So I think it's
Air
definitely a side
conditioning.
quest.
Why don't other
Yeah.
places have air conditioning, bro?
Yeah. And kind of like when we hosted the World Cup, a lot of foreigners were like, wait a minute, America's great. Like, this is
Yeah.
way different than how they like show it online in like their home country. So I thought that was kind of cool to see too.
The fake news media loves to lie about America. America's the best. Quite frankly, everybody tells me.
Yeah.
let's see. WhyLearn, didn't you want to do starting a business?
Uh, I could take that one too.
Yeah, yeah, do
That's
that
kind
one.
of it overlaps a little bit with some of these other ones, so
It
I'm trying to like
does. It
how to
does.
have it unique.
We could do rapid fire. What would you say? What would
Yeah,
you say?
yeah.
What tier it goes into?
So if you're like starting a serious business that you want to be your career, it's a major life decision. If it's just kind of like, oh, like I started this LLC on the side, then it's like it's obviously a side quest. So I'd put major life decision. If you want to do it, you do it right. And starting a business is going to consume a lot of your time and energy.
I
So
like that.
I go major life decision.
I think I agree with that one. What about you, JP?
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. I feel like I mean, it's a huge life decision because it can really help you or it can, put you into a rough position just depending on the business and how it goes and stuff. So I also think too, what I've seen a lot of people do that tend to have successful businesses is they start out in the industry or in the business they want to open or start, but
Mhm.
they like get paid by somebody else to do it and then they branch off and do their own thing. I've seen a lot of
Yeah.
people do that and they see way more success than someone just kind of winging it from, square zero.
Yep, I like that. Next one I see is tax fraud. Um, I'm gonna put that one in life altering. I don't know about you guys. If you get away with
Yeah.
it, good for you. But if not, the consequences are massive.
Yeah, that's a tough one. If you even if you don't get caught, for me personally, I don't want to live my life like looking over my shoulder with everything I do. Like oh, I'm gonna get caught next month. Like that would just be a terrible way to live life.
Yep.
So it's gonna suck no matter what. Either you get caught and then you go to jail or something, or you don't get caught and you're just living in constant fear. That sounds terrible.
Yeah.
One that is not necessarily on the tier list. Someone just asked this in the chat. I'm a little behind on the chat here because I'm scrolled up, but cool guy said, and I want to know your guys' thoughts on this because I think we all kind of have worked in a corporate environment. He says, does LinkedIn ever matter beside applying to a job? And I want to know your guys' thoughts on this because I used to really like LinkedIn, and now I think it's just like degeneracy and AI on steroids. But I don't think it helps at all. But I want to know what your guys' thoughts are.
Okay. I have a little bit different view. It's been helpful for me since quitting my job. I've gotten some clients off of it. It's just like it's an easy way to connect in a business way, where it's like if I meet someone in a professional setting, it's I'll add you on LinkedIn, and then it's like it's a way to connect with your professional network. And I've had people who are like, "Oh, I see you're making software," like, and then they'll DM me about it. I've actually landed like contracts from LinkedIn just DMing people. So I put it like, it can be a good thing. You don't need it. Like there's some billionaires who like have no LinkedIn presence, but it can help you too. It's like any social media. It's a personal online presence thing. Like it can help you, but it's not, you don't really need it either.
No, I see that. I
I
see
would
that.
say, yeah, no, I can see that from like if you're like a business owner and it helps you like get more like clients or more business, like it's definitely like super helpful in that sense. From a 9 to 5 perspective, I think it's irrelevant. I actually hate LinkedIn. I went on a rant about it like months ago.
I remember that
Um,
video of watching that.
yeah, LinkedIn is just the biggest just slop palace ever. Like people just being
It's
like,
gotten
oh,
so
like
bad.
yeah, where people are just like, oh yeah, I did this and this, like, this is why I skipped my kid's first birthday party,
Yeah,
blah
yeah,
blah blah, shareholder value. It's like, all right,
yeah.
this is the dumbest shit I've ever read. Um,
I
so
just
yeah,
took
no,
a
I'm
big
not a
dump
lead.
this morning, and this got me thought about cutting waste.
Yeah, no, literally. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, yeah, you see some funny things on LinkedIn with people where it's just like they'll tie in the most random aspect of their life into how it's meaningful for their data science career. It's like I was at a
Yeah.
Yeah.
stoplight and I looked over to my left and someone was looking at me. So I decided to put this chart together of how many people look at you while you're walking through a mall. Check out my chart. And it's just like, this does nothing. Like, what is this?
Yeah. What are
So,
you talking about?
yeah.
It is a big AI slop pool, and yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like it. It's been moderately useful to me, but yeah, it's not fun. Do you guys think LinkedIn or X is worse? Because I think X is like kind of insane too.
I think X is
I don't
worse.
use X, so I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think it's worse. I don't use it, but I've heard of what can go down on it, and I do think it's worse.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like the most negative people in the world get traction on X.
Yeah. Like, I feel like
It's
there
one
was
thing I
a
like about
day.
YouTube.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like there was a day where like LinkedIn was like, people were posting their like accomplishments at their job, and like it was just nice to see what other people were doing and like whatever. But recently, like, see a lot of people posting like advertisements on it and companies, doing stuff like that, and you see a lot of AI stuff, and I don't know. I just get burnt out of it.
Yeah. No, I
Probably
agree.
not good to just spend time on those things in general.
Yeah, that's true too. Let's see another one. Someone says eating out versus cooking at home. What do you guys think about that?
I mean, financially, I think that's definitely helpful. It's kind of like investing versus saving, but like zooming in one more level. I feel like. I don't know. I think it just kind of depends. I like to just have a balance of both. I'm not somebody who I know some people that are like, oh, I refuse to eat out. I'm not gonna eat this goy slop. And I'm like, all right, man, just go to Chipotle bowl. It's not that deep, bro. Just eat Chipotle.
I
Like,
don't
come
even
on.
know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't even know what that means. I keep seeing that word pop up. I'm like entering unk status where I don't even know what those words mean anymore.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
found out those words late. We probably don't need to get into that sector of the internet, but you can look
Yeah.
it up on your own time.
So what'd you say, JP? Where do we want to put that one?
I would put that at like I'd put that at like a mid decision.
I like that.
I mean, it can affect your finances and stuff. Like if you're going out to eat too much, or if you're going to restaurants too much. I know some people that kind of fall into that, where they like only go out to eat. They don't even know how to cook at home. That to me is like kind of crazy. But yeah, it
Yeah.
also doesn't hurt to go enjoy a meal or go try new food. I also don't like picky eaters. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. So
Yeah.
going out to eat
Yeah.
helps with that.
I will say
Trying new stuff.
cooking at home can be very rewarding. I've had some of like my best meals cooking at home, and I'm a firm believer that I can cook a steak better than any steakhouse could for me because I know how I like it. So cooking at home, it'll save you money. But yeah, I like it in mid decision. Someone,
I like it in mid too.
yeah, someone here said, "What do you guys think about sending money back home to your parents, or just opinions on helping people out financially?"
Interesting.
I think that's an
I
interesting.
know that's
one
a
too.
common thing with people who like immigrated to America and they usually make money in America and send it home. That happens a lot. It's like a common thing in a lot of cultures. I think like when there's certain people who like you classify as like I would help them through anything. So like for me, friends, family, uh, like I'm not like close friends. I'm talking like your day ones. Like if you're willing to help them out, like identify that, but be careful with people taking advantage of you at the same time. Like some people will just ask for money, and you have to establish boundaries. And also, just as a rule of thumb, unless you really, really trust people, probably don't loan them money. It's just I've never really seen that end up going well for people. So, you know, be generous with people you love, but don't let people take advantage of you, and don't enable people's bad habits. That's what I have to say.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's well said.
yeah, I agree with that. Um, One other one in the chat here. This isn't for the tier list, but they wanted to know our opinions on house hacking. I assume you guys know what house hacking is. I'll actually give my opinion first because I'm someone who I actually really value living alone. I don't really like having roommates. And if I had the opportunity to house hack, I'm going to be honest, even for the financial benefit of it, I don't like the idea of living in the same house as my renters. So I actually don't like house hacking for me personally, but I know it's a great way to basically live for free. Also, if you could house hack and you have like a duplex where you're not necessarily in the same house, but you're just in a
Yeah,
separate unit, that's definitely the way to go. If you're hacking like rooms in your actual house, I'm not a fan of that. So, interested
I
on your
agree.
guys' thoughts.
Yeah, I agree with that. With the duplex, I think it's good because at least it's like a separate unit. But when you guys are all under the same roof and like if they're not giving you rent and you're like sitting there like, hey man, you're like talking to them in person. I feel like it's just you're asking for conflict, especially if it's a bad tenant. Um, and it also if it's like your friends too, that can be kind of weird. Like if you have good friends that are clean and can maintain their space, like that's one thing. But if it's a random person, I think it could just lead to a whole lot of just headache and trouble. But if you're in separate units, I do think it makes it kind of different with the duplex thing.
Yeah, tenant's going to be very tenant dependent. Like we're considering if we want to rent out the condo that we have, and I'm like, we need to vet people because I do not want this to turn into a problem for us because we're going to be busy with parenthood next year. We don't need to manage an idiot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, exactly.
that's definitely true.
Someone asked, what did they say here? They said, I graduated in May 2025 and I still can't find a job. You got any tips on what I can do to find a job within a major accounting and finance major? What are some good job tips for getting a job?
I guess like in accounting, did you graduate with a master's or a bachelor's? I'd be curious because most of my friends who did the accounting path ended up going to get a master's degree, and that opened up a lot of doors for them. So that might matter. But either way, like
Yeah,
accounting's pretty regulated. You got to probably shoot for internships first. It's a little bit out of my wheelhouse, but see if your university offers events for alumni or students that uh, can like you can network with people. That'd probably be the way I would try. I wouldn't do LinkedIn Easy Apply because that's too competitive. Uh, Showing up to things in person right now is probably your best bet, like professional events where you live, reaching out to every single person in your network, whether it's old friends, parents, like literally whoever you can find, like send them a text and ask if they know any of anybody. And you're gonna have to, it's basically the trenches. You're gonna have to grind it out. But the good news is it just takes one lucky connection to make it work.
yeah. Somebody who works in corporate finance, what I would advise, because I would advise is starting out, like, don't expect to get your dream job. If you can just get a job that you at least stack the resume up a little bit, like, even if it doesn't pay the best, even if it pays like, I don't know, 40 to 60K a year, like that's okay. You're mainly just trying to get the experience. That way you can speak to it and then hopefully move up later. You don't even have to wait that long either. Like I think I've talked about this in other videos. I think in your early 20s, you can kind of get away with job hopping more compared to like once you're in a higher level. So I would just say try to find anything that's like even slightly related to your major and then try to see if you can move up from there.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Like my thing, kind of like WhyLearn mentioned, is like I'm always a big proponent of trying to get your foot in the door, even if it's like an unglamorous job. So even if it's like entry level, most internship job, like I know a lot of people when they graduate college, they have this idea where it's like, okay, like since I have my degree now, I'll be able to get a full time role. I'll be able to make a decent amount of money. But with the job market we're in, you kind of just have to like swallow a little bit of that ego. It might not even be ego, but just like once you get your degree, like try to find the most entry level thing you can find because you probably have a pretty good chance of getting it. And then let your, work ethic speak for itself and try to, work your way up and, get promoted or make more money or whatever it might be.
Yeah. To add on to that, I would say like if you're still in university, like prioritize getting internships as much, if not more, than your classwork. Because that's usually what's going to carry you to a job is if you're a junior and you can get like an internship. Because a lot of times those internships can either turn into full-time jobs or it's a good thing to have on the resume.
Yeah. Someone said what? He said, how long should you hold the entry level job? I would say like maybe a year. I would say 6 months to a year. If you are able to get an entry level job, try to hold it 6 months, then maybe try to pivot out of it. If not, hold it for a year. But once you have that entry level role, that's the hardest step is getting your foot in the door. So
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
It's a lot easier to find a new. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I think forever, I like it was like 2 or 3 years in between each job hop, and maybe that's on the longer end now. But typically you don't want to like jump every 6 months, like you don't want to make it a pattern. But like if you get a better offer, there's no reason to not take it. So always kind of have your resume ready, stay frosty, and yeah, don't be afraid to hop around once in a while.
Yep.
What were you saying, JP? Sorry.
Oh no, I was just gonna say very similar to that. Like I think, yeah, you can definitely move around when you're younger, and just getting your foot in the door is like the hardest thing. But like my parents have always said it's way easier to find a job once you have a job, and it's just true. Like when you don't have a job and you're in that struggle and you're like, oh shit, I gotta find something. Like even if you find something that maybe it doesn't pay as good as you think, like if it's even slightly pertaining to the career path you want to go down, like I would definitely at least try to take it. You don't have to work there forever. Just remind yourself that too.
Might be cooked if I have to go back to a job with this employment gap, explaining my YouTube channel. That would be an interesting thing to explain.
Yeah.
Like I did a content creation business venture.
Like Call of Duty gameplays, like that's unless they get it, that's hard to explain.
If you have a guy that's a millennial, it could help you actually.
Yeah, he might be like, yo, this is sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with you guys completely.
Let's see what we got here. Did we get all of them? I think another one people said is like, what type of decision is entering the military? And I put that at like life altering. If you do that,
Yeah.
that's
That.
it could be a rewarding career. It's gonna require a lot of you. You're gonna have to probably travel, make sacrifices. Yeah, it's life altering if you do it.
Yeah, I think that one's life altering for sure. That has I know it's actually, I think it's getting more popular because a lot of people are finding out that you can go into the military, you can make a decent living. I think they pay for your college if I'm not mistaken. You get obviously a better price on housing. You get a better price on a lot of decisions that come up in your life, healthcare, stuff like that. So I think, and people going into the military, especially with the job market we're in, it's getting more popular. But at the same time, it is a very big decision, right? Like that's not one to take
There's
lightly.
a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
They do give you a good amount of things, and it's just respected too. I feel like if someone says they're in the military, there's like automatically a respect there, which I love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Someone said corporate versus startups as a first job.
That's kind of like that's an interesting. Go ahead, slow stack.
I was gonna say I've never worked for a startup. I think they have their benefits where it's like you're more tight knit. There's potential for more money and more growth. But at the same time, when it's like a 9 to 5, I really value stability. So if I could get in at a bigger corporate company that I know maybe doesn't do layoffs, but they have the name to back themselves up and they have the financial sheets and earning reports to back themselves out or back themselves up, I would probably go with a corporate for my first job. But on the same side, it's probably a lot easier to get a startup as your first job.
Yeah.
I don't really know though.
I had a close buddy who, like, me and him talked about, he went the startup route and I went the safe corporate route. And I always told him, like, in the short term, I was making more money because I'm like, I got the stable job, the salary, the benefits. He had like half the salary of me, but he's like, yeah, but I get like, 2% of the company or whatever it was, which was significant. And he's like, I would always tell him, I'm like, in 5 years, if this company grows, you're going to be like a multimillionaire and it'll look like a good decision for you. Now, obviously with startups, it's inherently risky. So like years went down the line and they were trying to like finagle him out of his ownership and he was running into a bunch of fights and it like turned out being just like a bad decision at the end of the day. But he learned a lot, and obviously if it worked out, it would have been like an insane amount of money. So depends how much you want to swing for the fences. If you value stability, do the corporate life. If you want to swing for the fences and do something crazy, go with a startup. But it's going to be a lot. There's nothing guaranteed with that route.
Yeah, I also think from what I've heard too with like the startups, like it's a huge grind culture, but you also get more scope. So like you're more likely to interact with like the CFO of a startup than a huge corporation or like whatever, just some exec level person. So I think it's good with like getting quick experience and like stacking the resume if you did it for like a year or something. But everybody I know who's gotten into a startup, like after a certain amount of time, your mental health just gets ripped apart because of the amount of hours they require. It's definitely like a lot less balanced than a normal corporate 9 to 5.
Yeah. And you have to wear many hats, like you said, where it's,
Yeah.
if you're in a corporate job, your job's likely pretty well defined by the system. Whereas if you're in a startup and you're like a software developer, as an example, they might be like, oh, well, yeah, you got to do the design. You got to like have a marketing plan for it. You're like, what? I'm a developer. I don't know anything about that. But they're still asking you to do that because it's a startup and you just have to, like someone's got to do those jobs too.
Yeah, I like that. Thunderstruck asked a very important question. They said, what would you rank buying the M14 versus the Olympia? I'll take that one.
Oh.
If you buy the Olympia off the wall, I mean, you're cooked. Like, dude, like don't buy the Olympia off the wall. Buying the M14, I do think it's a good play, depending on when you could hit the mystery box. If that's not, like if you're playing town, I don't buy the M14 off the wall. But if you're playing like any other zombies map where you might not have the chance to hit the box anytime soon, I think buying the M14, it's a major life decision that could play out pretty well for you.
It's buying the M14 is like buying Bitcoin in 2009. It's you have to do it. If you do it, you will never regret it. And if there was a tier above life altering, that would be where I'd put that.
That'd be where the M14.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially on a map like Call of the Dead or 5. I'm definitely copping the M14 pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just brought that up, which we don't have on this list, but I think that's a good one to bring up too, is what, especially people in their 20s, right? You get enticed to buy cryptocurrency. What are your guys' thoughts on cryptocurrency and investing in it?
What do you think, JP?
I've always kind of been in the camp that with cryptocurrency, unlike investing in stocks, I believe it goes up on like something called greater fool theory, which is basically Peter Lynch, I think, invented it, or at least talks about it. He's a famous investor. And it's basically this idea that like the only way for it to go up is if other people are willing to buy it at a higher price, compared to like when you're investing into like ETFs, there's companies that make real dollars, like with real intrinsic value behind it. So I'm not against crypto, but I put a very, very small percentage of like my money into it. I basically just dollar cost average a tiny bit into it. I mean, I'm definitely, when it comes to like the meme coins and the altcoins, I stay so far away from that. But like some of the main ones, I don't really mind. But I don't think it has intrinsic value like a lot of people think either.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think it's like 3% of my portfolio. I think there's so many risks involved, especially with advances in technology, that Bitcoin might not be the king forever. Maybe a different coin comes and takes its place. Maybe Bitcoin goes to the moon. Maybe it becomes totally obsolete. Like, there's really no way of knowing right now. It just depends on humans adopting it. It's kind of an interesting hedge, like maybe a doomsday scenario hedge, where like if a bunch of countries just go to shit, like maybe people would buy that and gold as a safe haven. But I even think that case is pretty shaky.
Yeah.
So I'm in the boat of like, just you buy a little bit, don't go overboard with it. It's very close to like the gambling day trading realm. Just buy some, if you're comfortable with it, and accept the risks that go along with it.
Yeah. So the way I look at cryptocurrency is I own two cryptocurrencies. I have bought Bitcoin and I've bought XRP. And the way I look at it is I am not a risky investor, right? Where all the majority, like 60% of my Roth IRA and my brokerage account is in VU. Then I have QQM. Then I have like, I think the riskiest quote unquote stock I have is like Meta, which is not, I mean, you could call that risky if you want, but it's still a very small part of my portfolio. So like I'm buying ETFs, and the single stocks that I do buy are very like, they're in the Mag 7, right?
Big names.
Yeah, big names. So when it comes to cryptocurrency, I treat that as like my risk. So it's a very small part of my portfolio. I am a little bit more exposed to it than some people would like. I think it's at like 8% of my portfolio, which I know is a little high for some people, but I look at it in the sense of the money that is in my crypto account. If it goes to zero tomorrow, it genuinely will not affect my life. I wouldn't want to lose that money, but if I did, I would still be able to afford rent. I'd still be able to put food on the table. I'd still be able to live the life I'm living. So I think when cryptocurrency gets to the point that you're looking at that portfolio and it's like, oh, wow, I can't afford to lose this. At that point, I think that's too risky of an asset to have that much money in. So for me, that's my risk. And once again, if the money goes, like, you just have to be okay and realistic if that money were to lose 90% of its value tomorrow. And if you're okay with that, then, you can take whatever risk you'd like. So.
Yeah, I agree with that. Just be careful, fellas. This is just a huge one on the internet. Like, it's not a way to get rich quick.
Yeah.
That window is past.
Yeah.
There's some crap coins that I'm sure will make some people rich, but it's like buying lottery tickets, basically.
Yeah.
It's not a strategy.
Yep. Just buy low, sell high. Yeah, that's the that's the goal.
I never thought of it that way. Well,
yeah. That's the setup we need. Well, chat, you guys got any other ones we forgot on this list here? We're coming up to the 2-hour mark, so I don't know how much longer you guys got. I don't know if you want to call it at 2 hours or a little bit shorter than that. If you got any other ones.
I'm trying to think of a few. I can go for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I can go for like probably another 10 or 15 if that's cool.
Yeah, we'll call it at 2 hours. So we got another 11 and a half minutes. So
cool. Hey, I'll be back in a second, guys. I gotta go call my dad.
Yeah, no problem.
Just kidding. I gotta use the bathroom.
Talk about dividend stocks and ETFs. So this is an interesting one because JP, if I'm not mistaken, if I know your lore correctly, you actually used to do only dividend stocks or a majority of dividend stocks, right?
Yeah, I used to be like a dividend growth investor. That's what I'd always say. So like I still own some ETFs. Like I still had VU and SCHD, which SCHD is obviously a dividend ETF, but I owned like a lot of companies that paid like a smaller to medium sized dividend and then they grew it quite a bit. So companies like Visa or like Costco, JP Morgan, like some of the individual stocks. And then I just switched fully to ETFs last August. So I've only been 100% ETFs for about like a year or so now.
So
I
what
like
made
dividends a
you,
lot, but
yeah, like what made
go
you
ahead.
get out of the dividend investing?
The main reason is because I finally just came to the, I don't know, I guess the realization where I was like, all right, I do need to focus on growth right now. And a lot of the stocks I owned did have really good growth. Like Microsoft was one of the best stocks I owned. And because I bought it in like 2020, like July of 2020, and I didn't sell till last year. So there were certain stocks that did really good, but then I also owned some REITs that didn't do as good. So the main reason I did was just because I was like, you know what, I'm tired of trying to compete with the market every year. There's certain years I did better, certain years I underperformed. But I was like, I'd rather just put all my money into the market, and then I don't even have to sit here and look at earnings and think about, oh, is this stock doing good? Oh, they had bad earnings. Is this a permanent thing or is this just a 1 quarter thing? Like, I just got kind of tired of doing that. So that was the main reason I changed. What about you?
Yeah, I never really dabbled with dividends. Like when I was first getting into ETFs, one of the first ETFs I bought was SCHD, which if I can recall in my memory, SCHD is very enticing for a lot of people because it's an ETF where you get a broad diversification across a lot of companies that pay out dividends like Coca-Cola, Chevron. I think there's a lot of companies in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I started doing the research on it. And at first, like when I first understood what a dividend was, I was like, damn, this is sick. Like you're telling me I just got to invest my
Yeah.
money in here and they're going to pay me out on it and I can reinvest that back into the stock and buy more of it. I'm like, that's a no brainer. But then I started comparing it versus like VOO or QQQ or all these other kind of S&P 500 slash growth ETFs. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe if, the dividends pay out X amount, but my growth is 20% more over the next 3 years, I'd rather just have the growth versus getting paid
Yeah.
out. So I ended up selling all my SCHD and rolling it into VU. Um, but yeah, that's kind of where I fall with it. I don't really know too. I'll be honest, like, and this is the thing with investing. Like when you're learning about investing, even if you think you know a lot, there's so much to learn where it's like, I'm pretty financially literate. I have a good portfolio. I've seen consistent gains, but like, I don't know a lot about dividends. It's just never something I've learned about. It's never something I've invested a lot of my money into. So I still have a lot to learn with dividends, but yeah, I was just curious kind of why you got out of it. So that makes sense. Um,
Yeah.
Thunderstruck
I also
says,
think,
oh, he says you should stream zombies together. I think that's next up on the list. I think we got to run a zombie stream for sure.
oh yeah.
I got to
No, I
figure out how
love
to get
zombies.
on console with you guys. I'll even buy one. I don't care. And we gotta run some zombies. That'll be a good time.
Yeah, I think you'd be able to write it off too.
Yeah, I probably
Honestly,
could.
since it's a business expense.
Yeah, probably could.
You got that LLC going, slow stack?
Slow Stack
Yeah.
LLC, baby.
Good. Let's go.
You get the CPAs on that. I was gonna say too, another thing that I should have learned this way earlier on with dividends, and I always kind of knew this, but one thing somebody said with like dividend investing was like, okay, you could own SCHD today, and sure, it's going to grow the dividend, and let's say your portfolio grows from $100,000 to $1 million, or you could have 100,000 to 1.5 million and then just buy SCHD and you'd have more dividend income later by focusing on growth now. And once I kind of thought more about that, I was like, okay, I need to just like, hang it up. Let's just go for the growth at this point. Just get the market.
Yeah, there was a guy I used to watch on YouTube, and he has a portfolio of like 1.2 million, and it's all in SCHD. And I think
Oh,
yearly he
damn.
gets paid out, I think like $55,000, $60,000. And even then I'm thinking like if you took that 120 or sorry, if you took that 1.2 million and put it into VU, the growth is going to absolutely blow at that 50,000 in dividend income out of the water, like
Yeah.
so yeah, never been too big on dividends. What about you, WhyLearn? Are you a big dividend guy?
I was heavy into SCHD. I switched around my portfolio a little bit actually earlier this year. So like a couple things I tried to do to mitigate the dividends is SCHD. I had a lot of it in my Roth, so like I don't get taxed on the dividends for that, which is like one way to protect you from the tax drag there. But otherwise, I think the main argument is like in super overvalued markets, SCHD like will hold up better in a crash, but that gets into timing the market. So I did do a big reshuffle. Like I think SCHD is still one of my bigger ETFs, but I have yeah, my portfolio is kind of messy. I think I showed you my portfolio once, JP. It was
Yeah.
it's got a lot of stuff in it that's just there because I bought it 6 years ago.
Yeah. Well, and I think you
Someday
made a
I'll clean
video
it up,
recently
but
talking.
yeah.
Yeah, didn't you make a video recently talking about how you felt like your portfolio is like a grandpa portfolio or something
It
like
was
that?
kind of a grandpa portfolio, and I like during the last little correction, I moved more into like basically the big tech stocks, which has been like decent so far. But a lot of the reason I don't want to sell a lot of those positions is because I've held them so long that it would just be a big tax hit. So like I
Yeah.
think my biggest individual holding is like AbbVie or Blackstone, and I'm up like several 100% on them. So it's like, do I want to sell it to put it into, VOO? Probably not. I'd just be taking a big tax hit. So there's kind of grandfathered into my stock portfolio. But going forward, I don't really make too many individual buys unless they're pretty big companies.
Yeah, and if you're just buying ETFs, they're gonna dilute anyway. So,
Yeah.
oh, daily driven Porsche. Yeah, I used to watch that guy. That's
Yeah,
funny.
I looked him up. I'm like, yeah, daily driven Porsche, dude.
Yeah.
All right, we're coming up on 2 hours. Let's see. We'll rapid fire some of these. Someone asked hard work versus cutting corners, kind of character building. So we'll call it like character building. So I think character building, like I'm thinking of like building yourself up. I think that's a major life decision if I'm gonna put in like the tier list. Because at the end of the day, like you are all you have in a sense. So I think working on your character is super important in your 20s.
Yeah. And if you cut corners too much, like that's just gonna catch up to you. It's just
Yeah.
like think of someone who like cheats their way through high school, so then they get into a great college, and then they cheat their way through college. Now all of a sudden you're on the job and you're just worthless, and you
You
get
don't know
fired because you
anything.
don't know
Yeah.
anything. Like it catches
Yeah.
up to you. Like the best way is to just put in the good old, blood, sweat, and tears and grind it out so that you become epic later.
Yeah. Um, and so the other one, someone asked, what about getting a pet or a dog? I think that's a major life decision as well. Pets are expensive, and if you're not
Oh
prepared
yeah.
to have a pet and pay those vet bills, that can hurt your finances a lot, like a lot. So I think that's a major
Yeah.
life decision
I think for a dog, I'm gonna say for a dog, it's a major life decision because
for
that's
sure.
like, I think cats are a little bit less high. Maybe a cat is like a mid
They're way
decision.
lower maintenance. Yeah.
Yeah, but dog for sure because dogs you gotta like with a cat you can kind of just leave them for like a day and they got water, they got their food, they're all good. But a dog you gotta let out. It's like they're much more intensive.
Yeah.
The thing I like about dogs is dogs give you structure, though. I
Yeah.
think that's like
Yeah,
kind of a huge W because dogs,
yeah,
like, if you're not feeding them at the right time, they're gonna make you feed them. You're gonna hear about
yeah,
it,
Yeah.
yeah,
and
and
like taking them on walks and
excuse.
stuff.
A great
Yeah.
excuse to
Great
get out of
excuse.
things too.
That's
It's like,
right.
oh, I gotta leave. My
Oh,
dog,
true.
I gotta
Yeah.
go let the dog out. Right.
Yeah.
Realistic returns. He asks, do you think your physical health in terms of exercise slash working out has direct correlation with income? I'll answer this one first. Also, shout out to you. I know Realistic Returns is always commenting on my videos, and I've watched some of your videos. And I think it does. I would say every single successful person, whether it's a successful person as far as like they own their own business, or as far as like if I'm thinking of the current company I work in and I look at the C suite and all the executives, one common denominator with all of them is they're all in great shape. Like all of them are in really good shape. Now, that's not to say obviously you can't be successful and be in bad shape, but there's just something I've noticed with high net worth people where they really prioritize their physical health. I don't know if you guys have seen the same thing or that's just kind of my bubble and what I've seen, but most successful people I know are always taking care of themselves, going on runs, bike rides, etc.
Yeah, I like that. It shows like discipline. If you're disciplined in one thing,
Yeah.
like you're with your body, chances are you'll be disciplined at work too. So it's like it's the type of person who's in good shape is likely the type of person who's going to be successful, and also just the physical benefits of it too. Like if you have your weight under control and you're sleeping well, and you're hitting the gym, like you feel like $1,000,000, and there's no price on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty well said. The discipline thing, I completely agree with. I was going to say something pretty similar to that, honestly. But yeah, I feel like if you're just dialed in one area, it's a lot easier to be, locked in other areas too. So just having like really healthy habits, I think, is huge. And I think taking care of your health is one of those things you can do.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm looking at 3 questions. You guys want to do 3 more questions and we'll call it an end of the stream?
Yep.
Let's do it.
To me.
All right. So first question, at what point does your credit score associated benefits plateau? I'm going to take this overall like a credit score question. I think credit score is really overrated. You definitely need to have a good credit score, but like growing, like for example, and I don't mean to like compare myself to other people, but like I'm in a way better financial position than a lot of my friends. And you'd be surprised how many of them have actually a better credit score than me. Like I don't really understand why. Maybe it's because I don't go into debt a lot. I rarely ever touch credit cards. So maybe the banks don't trust me. But I think for like your overall financial health, credit score benefits plateau really quickly. Like outside of like buying a house and getting approved for certain loans, if you're really trying to stay out of debt, I don't think there's a lot of benefits with having a good credit score. But I would know. I'd like to hear your guys' opinion on that.
I think it's important for loans, like if you need to get a car loan or a house loan. But outside of that, like I didn't ever have like much significant debt, and I just like paid off credit cards on time, and I just checked. I think it's like 780 something. So it's like it's not going to do that much for you when you need to borrow until you need to borrow money. Once you get over that first obstacle, then it's like it's just a number.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think some people really overhype credit scores. Like I'm pretty sure like from a lending perspective too, once your credit score's over like 760, I think,
Mhm.
like there's not going to be a difference in interest rate between someone at 765 and someone at 800. So yeah, I think when people get like super into it, I don't really understand why, like trying to optimize it or get the highest credit score possible because it doesn't make a difference after a certain point. And I remember
Yeah.
seeing a podcast not too long ago with Graham Stephan, the finance YouTuber, and he was saying he's like, "Yeah, I check my credit score weekly." And I remember thinking, I was like, "Why?" like,
Yeah. It doesn't
like
move that much, really. Like,
yeah, it really doesn't. And like, I think I check mine maybe once every couple months because I know as long as I'm not taking on any new debt, it's not gonna like just drop all of a sudden.
yeah. No,
So
I think it's once you get into that 750 plus, like obviously you want to pay less of an interest rate. So like that's great, but at the same time, yeah, don't hyper fixate on it.
yeah,
Um,
I agree.
so next one that I like here, this maybe exposes some of us. I don't know. What's each of your most speculative holdings? So I'm going to assume outside of cryptocurrency, if you guys own any individual stocks, which one is your most speculative one? I'll go first because I do own individual stocks, just a very small percentage. I would say the one I have the most money in, still a very small percent of my portfolio, is SoFi Bank. So that's who I have my high yield savings through. Um,
Mhm.
I own like a few shares of SoFi Bank. Once again, the majority of all my money is in ETFs. That's what I recommend. But I do own SoFi Bank. It's not super, I would say, like risky, but I do believe one day there'll be a massive bank. And if you look at their earnings, they've been killing it. They get a lot of new signups. So I think it's a pretty cheap price for a good company that I hope one day will be a massive bank. So I think that's my most speculative holding. What about you guys?
I got one that comes to mind. So I bought this a while ago. It's one of those things where like I would never have bought it today. It's Lemonade Insurance. They've never had a profitable quarter. They've
Nice.
they have like pretty disastrous financials, but I worked in like a lot of different insurance, a couple different big insurance companies, and both of them like feared Lemonade for they're like always looking at what Lemonade was doing, and I was like, that's pretty much the only reason I bought it. And now looking at it, it's like it basically markets only to young people, and it leads with like unprofitable insurance products, but I think their goal is like they're going to grow up with their audience, and then their audience is going to, then their customer base is going to get older and buy more insurance and more insurance. So maybe there's a long-term thesis there, but the financials appear to be disastrous right now. So I'm not sure it's a good investment, but I'm going to hold on to it. Damn it. We'll see where it goes.
Diamond
Again,
hands, diamond hands.
It might be like 1% of my portfolio, if that.
Yeah, you could always tax loss harvest that if it just keeps tanking. I'm not sure where it's
I'm up like a
there you
decent
go.
bit on it. I mean, it was a while ago.
That's awesome. Yeah, for me,
yeah,
I
that
don't
one could
own
tank
any.
fast.
Yeah, no, it definitely could. I remember Meet Kevin was promoting, like talking about that stock a couple years ago. It's kind of funny. But I was just gonna say I don't own any individual stocks. I guess my most speculative thing that I own, besides the tiny bit of Bitcoin I own, is probably an ETF called SPMO, which is like a momentum-based ETF. It's about like 8% of my portfolio. But yeah, I mean that one's just basically looks at how the S&P, it pulls out like the top 100 companies from the S&P and then ranks it based on momentum and volatility and stuff. So again, it's not a huge percentage of my portfolio, but I put about like 20% of my investments into it right now. So
Nice. All right. And last question here to end off this stream is chocolate or vanilla ice cream was one of them I saw. So I'm going to go first. I think you can't decide. My favorite ice cream is actually a chocolate and vanilla like swirl. Like, you guys can get that like soft serve ice cream.
soft serve.
Yeah, chocolate and vanilla swirl will always go crazy. Like honestly, I might even go get that right now that I'm talking about it. So that's like
You should.
that's where I'm at with that. What about you guys?
I like vanilla ice cream, but then like putting a bunch of stuff in it. So like putting cookies in it, Oreos,
Nice.
chocolate chips, whatever's on hand. That's my go-to.
No, I respect that for sure. JP?
Yeah, I'd probably go vanilla as well, and then mixing in different stuff. Can never go wrong with the occasional McFlurry, so it's not bad. And I also love the soft serve too, so that's just
soft serve.
That's a given for me.
Well, gentlemen, I want to thank you guys for joining me in this stream. For those of you guys who maybe came in late and are still in the chat, I will be posting this as like an actual video. Obviously, it's going to be spliced up and edited. I'll try to get it out probably like Friday morning. But yeah, man, thank you guys in the chat for tagging along here, commenting. We'll try to, maybe in the pipeline there's another stream we do. We're playing zombies or something. That'd be fun. But yeah, man, thank you guys for tagging along. JP, thank you. WhyLearn, thank you. I appreciate it. And I look forward to talking to you guys again.
Absolutely.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. It was a good time. We'll do this again.
Yes, sir. Well, with that, chat, I'll catch you guys later. WhyLearn, JP, I'll catch you guys later. And yeah.
Yep.
See you guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yep.
Peace out.